All right, Instagram is running, and we've got a funky, cool split screen where you can see just a little bit of Jake's, which means if you want to see the whole side by side experience, go on over to YouTube.
On Instagram, yeah. If you're watching us on Instagram, it's not the best way to watch us.
Yeah, right,
Uh,
right.
go to
So,
YouTube. Put Turbo Pit Fighter in Google and click the YouTube link. Um, Actually, when I do that, I'm looking for. Are we live on YouTube?
we are, sir.
Okay, so I'm clicking our icon live. Oh, there.
We are, sir.
Okay, let me cut the volume. I do see us, and yeah, this has to be a
Okay.
little close up. I think I'm gonna raise up my arm
Okay.
so I can back out a little bit. And here we go. That squeak you hear is not a mouse. Although
There's no mouse in the house.
I do have mice in the
Oh,
house.
you do have?
Yeah,
Oh my lord!
I just ordered the human
Living
traps.
the human traps. Is that what
Yeah,
you said?
they weren't here for the warm weather, but they moved inside, I guess, when it got cold. All right.
Oh hell yeah!
Welcome everybody to another episode of Making Turbo Pit Fighter. We are two comic creators on a journey to create a post-apocalyptic comic book. Um, and we've had many ups and downs over the 2 or 3 years, 2.5 years. And the latest is that our broadcasting software, which isn't cheap, just downgraded anybody that has a an old MacBook, which includes yours truly. So I'm broadcasting on my phone, and if you see any decrease in quality, that is why. Um, and we are going to be drawing and inking pages of the Turbo comic, and we're going to be talking about the Turbo comic and whatever else comes up in our little Turbo world, which now includes our Substack episodes where you can download installments of sci-fi writing about the Turbo prequel world, which we call End of the World Timeline. I did have a question for Kurt about last installment. I got it on my email, and it was kind of long. Was that like a double or something?
I wanted to just see what statistically, if people would read the whole thing. I also, when I read it, I liked the pace and flow kind of like accelerated for me, and I just kind of went with my guts on it. So,
Okay.
but
So
yeah.
right, all right. So the next installment is going to be, if anyone's wondering what this graphic is right here. So if you're watching us now and you want to know where we are in time and space, we are post the 2024 election, where Trump was elected again. This the president elect, and on election day, I didn't go to school. New York City schools were closed for election day, and closed to students for election day, and teachers were all supposed to go online and do professional development, which is so hateful you want to poke your eyes out. Um, but luckily, since I'm an art teacher, I was able to sign up for a visual arts professional development, or what we call PD. So I went online with what was it? It was huge. It was like 600 other visual art teachers from the city,
Wow.
and we were all
Wow.
on Zoom on these little boxes, and
Ooh.
we were it's very good. Like the that it's actually helpful stuff. Not to get too into the weeds, we had guest speakers from all of the art museums in the city talking about the education programs and how we all need to do field trips there. We spoke to people from the Met. The MoMA wasn't there, but we spoke to people from the what was the other museum? The museum, oh, the Harlem Studio Museum, which is reopening next year. They did a ground up rebuild, so that's going to be exciting for New York City schools to be able to bring our students there. Um, anyway, long story short, we get to the afternoon portion, and they were like, "We want you to go online and find a cultural institution and look at the website and find an image that you want to that you like the style, and then we're all going to sit and what's the word? I would say like yenta. We're just going to yenter it up about different techniques and things that we use in our art classrooms, and it was pretty valuable, like people sharing insights, and I actually raised my hand and shared because not too many people were sharing. But all these like tips and techniques, and at the same time we were all supposed to we were all supposed to do a drawing in the style of an artwork that we see online on a museum website or a cultural institution. And because I'm a comic book nut, I went onto the website of the MoCA, Museum of Comic. What's the MOCCA? Museum of Comic something art. What's the other C for though? So this is a it's not really a museum. It's in the building of the Society of Illustrators on the east side, and I think it's like a room or a gallery that they have within it, and not currently on display, but their past exhibition was my favorite thing in the world is Monsters, which was an artist named Emile. Help me out, Emile something. And she had this style where she was just drawing with ballpoint pen on notebook paper, and so using different ballpoint pens. Um, and so I there was lots of her artwork online, so I decided to make an artwork based on my upcoming Substack installment, which is going to be the travails of Wee Lu and Reen Paw in the future. I'm talking about Emile Ferris, the artist. You and I spoke about her. Remember
Yep.
her? Yeah.
Yep.
So she, and it's worth bringing up again. She came out of total obscurity. She's a good artist, and she was like on a shoestring trying to pay her bills and create this manuscript. And when she got close to being finished, or when she finished, she was picked up by Fantagraphics Books, right? And check this out, Kurt. Bam! Uh, I found
Ooh.
I found this old Fantagraphics catalog. So Fantagraphics, of course, is a great comic book publishing company out of Seattle, right? And they have look at some of these old titles they have. So they have all of the Peter Bagg. They have all of the Charles Burns. They have all of the Daniel Close. And wait, hold on a second. Okay, so there. Oh, okay. I see. The problem was I I had to mute, not pause. So so Fantagraphics in more recent years, this is the winter 2009 catalog. In more recent years, they picked up this Emile Ferris property, and they gave her some daylight, and it ended up being a monster hit, no pun intended. And there's these YouTube videos that are like, want to hear about how a comic book artist made $5 million, and you click on it, and sure enough, it's all about Emile Ferris and Fantagraphics, and they have just been selling hotcakes, man. Anyway, I just picked up this ballpoint pen style, which is a lot of fun, actually. And you remember these, Kurt, from when you were a kid?
Oh, I love them. Oh, I love them. I love them.
These
There's
are
so
the
many great memories. My mother used to get me one of those and a clean spiral bound notebook,
right.
and I would just fill that thing up. I wish I had at least one of those things. Oh my god, man, they were
And
the
what you're
bomb. That
and
was like
Yeah, and what you're talking about are the tools that Emil Ferris used to make
Yeah.
$5 million. She purposely drew.
To make
She
$5 million.
well, and counting.
Well,
Uh,
let's just put another layer to that though. Beyond the four color ballpoint pen, incredible amount of talent, like insightful talent between rendering in a three-dimensional realistic way to the flow of paneling to being able to kind of digress into like a childlike play. She's off the chart. She's not. I hate to say it, but I'll say it anyways. I would dare to go outside the making a comic book. I think this is way more about the identifiers of journaling,
yeah.
in inner interdependent crafting. You know what I mean? Like art making. She didn't set out to make a superhero
Well,
comic book. She didn't set out to make. She's a pornographer. That's why she made $5 million, Jake. But
um,
it's
no,
just
she's a
oh she
classic
yeah
illustrator.
yeah.
You can see here she's got this
Level
hatching.
up your game, people. If you
Yeah,
want to
she's
make
got
$5 million at your comic booky thing, level up your game is what she's telling us.
right, and she does inspirational speeches now and panels and
Yeah,
everything, and
yeah,
she says that she followed her dream. She
yes.
didn't compromise, but as far as tools, she just used, well, this is like a little scratch pad, I guess. She came out with great art and great hatching technique, but her award-winning graphic novel here is just done on lined paper with ballpoint pens. And I want to modify, I wasn't insinuating that she uses these multicolor Papermate Inkjoy Quattros, because this only has four colors if you look at it.
Yeah.
She uses the purple. So she probably has the whole Bic set or the Papermate set. Um, and look, it's very, it's cool. This reminds me of Robert Crumb a little. She in this.
Move it over to the right, Jake.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, in
Thank you.
this,
Yeah.
she's alluding to a lot of famous artworks, a lot of
Yeah.
famous artists. She just
Yeah.
did her thing,
Yep.
and she's got incredible lettering skills. And a lot of this is look, a lot of this is autobiographical. That's her, and that's some of her stuff. So enough about that, but just suffice it to say that
So that brings you to where you're doing a homage to the four color ballpoint pen and your much needed illustration for Wee Lou, which will be a Substack series of writings. You got a lot written, don't you? You've been
did
going
I?
on about 2 weeks
Yeah,
about
and
two about. I
I'm
mean,
just ready to share it with Kurt so he can
oh,
start
thank God.
posting portions of it online. I have
Yeah.
some art too, and the exciting thing is we can premiere Bianca's art. She did 3 illustrations that are going to be peppered in to the Wheeloo writing. They're going to kind of like flow around it. I showed her our kind of like zine pages and the last couple of pages
Yeah.
of our turbo teaser, and she said, oh, I like that, so she made illustrations that are designed for that.
Oh,
and
cool.
so yeah, let me show you some wee Lou art. Oh, I don't know, I'm sorry, I think it's upstairs on a different pad. But oh, here's wee Lou. So this is coming to you, Kurt, after we're done today. And
Thank you.
Wheeloo is going to be wearing a top that is based on one of my mother's fashion designs in real life. My late mother used to be a crochet artist at the highest levels of fashion magazines. And I even have Shoot, where is that? I even have a page of that, which I can show you, but it's not handy. But her actual tops, and so now it's going to be Wee Lu, who is going to be superhero-ish. She's going to be kind of like a martial arts expert, like a female Shang-Chi, but she also has this little spike that she can hide and she can retract, that she uses to kind of finish the job. And she is going to be adept at martial arts, as I said, and she's also a practitioner of esoterica's formulas, which means people that are trying to create phenomena, and nobody can really do it like Esoterra, where she can like, you know, create like a heat blast or levitate or do stuff like that. But she can, because she's been studying for so long, she can create sparkles and she can make dust swirls and she could do like these little baby versions of it because she is an Eso follower, and she is going to, in the first scene where we cover in the Substack installment, she's going to be joining a giant protest in Philadelphia, meeting up with all the other ESO followers, and they're going to create a communal trance, which is going to create a giant holographic octopus in the sky to give the D. Hubertons a public relations black eye. And this is going to be a protest that goes on for 48 to 36 hours, and then they're going to get attacked by the forces, the mercenaries who are all on the company side. Um, this right here, you're like, well, what's this? So this is going to be the later scene in that installment, which is going to be after she. Should I spoil everything? Yeah, I guess I should spoil everything. So after she has
Why stop now?
right after she has this encounter, and she's going to fight these alt boys who are just kind of like hired hands that are trying to disrupt the protests. And if you want to rip it from the headlines, you can think about the paid provocateurs that were hired by the banks and the corporations during Occupy Wall Street. So they're going to go in and they're going to just like boldly attack all of the people that are causing the trance. And Wee Lu is going to be captured in a net. She's going to cut her way out. She's going to fillet a couple of these guys with her spike, and they're going to actually retreat. The old boys are going to retreat and cut their losses. A couple of them are going to get killed, and they're going to pull out. But that isn't going to be the end of it. Wee Lu is going to be identified by facial recognition software. They're going to put a bounty on her head, and they're going to try to get her at her house. She, of course, isn't taking it lying down, so she booby traps her house. And this is all going to be spelled out in the forthcoming episodes of the Substack, and which should be maybe like 3 to 4 installments, I would imagine, depending on the length. And what's going to happen is um, so she's going to lose her house, obviously, because she's going to booby trap it and bomb it. But what happens next? So she's on the phone the whole time. The narrative device is that the whole thing is going to be a conversation on the phone with her grandma, whose name is Reen Paul. And in the future, it's not going to be an actual phone. We're just going to have headsets. We're just going to be talking to our glasses or your visor or whatever. But they're going to say, oh no, they're going to be able to identify Reen Paul too, and they're going to assume that she's going to be taking refuge at Reen Paul's farm in Vermont. And Reen Paul, we're going to learn, is she's kind of like a prepper, right? She's kind of like a self-sustainer, because in this future everything is going that way, and people in Vermont have the ability to farm and make their own food. So she's going to have this farm complex where she hosts about 50 police families, and the police families are going to be the good guys. There's going to be good police and bad police in these days, and these are going to be the good guys. And they kind of threw in with this farm collective, and now they're going to have to defend it all because Wee Lou filleted these guys with her spike, and Reen Paul is available through public records. They say it's only a matter of time. So there's going to be, if you can read the lettering here, siege at Reen Paul's farm, and that's going to be the climactic final scene of the episode. And because Kurt and I have a short-term goal of creating 3 6-pagers so that an artist can come along if they want to and decide to draw them. And of course, 6 pages is a good length for a teaser, which could then, inform a crowdfunding or sponsorship or whatever. I was wondering what 6 pages of this sequence that I told you about. I gave you the basics, but I didn't give away like the very, very ending. But what 6 pages are we gonna chew off here? And so I think obviously we should make it the beginning where there's a protest in Philly, the giant octopus, and just gonna be some fighting. And I guess
Chaos.
the 6 pages goes quick. I don't know how I got so much done in the 6-pager before, but um 6 pages goes very quick. So I'm just laying those out here as thumbnails, and then I'm going to fully script it like I did with the other one, and then we will have 2 of 3 6 pages available for artists, and we're still
You're
going.
referring to. Let me just jump in there for clarity's sake. You're referring to free comic book scripts written by Jake Jacobs, which will be downloadable at kurtbrugel.com at some point very soon. I'm predicting by the end of November. Jake and I have a bit of kind of legalese just so that there's a clarity from both sides, not just our side.
Yeah, we're just gonna lay out. We're
And
gonna lay out some terms by which you can get
yeah,
the free writing, and you can pretty much own it for your purposes. But also, it comes with a little bit of a collaboration portion, which we're gonna get a benefit from if somebody's making some artwork in the this is part of the end of the world timeline, and that we also want to be able to put it in our anthology, which is a good thing, and and kind of cross exposure and stuff. But this isn't the kind of thing where we want somebody to excuse me, take the writing, print it out, and then go sell it to somebody or something like that.
well, the clarity comes down to, and by posting this publicly, we're backing up. Let's call it the copyright. Is it just because you've downloaded a 6-pager with characters developed by Jake and I doesn't mean we're giving you ownership of said characters and, let's say, scenarios, so then you can go and expand from. And really, I personally don't have any concern that that's going to happen because we have a depth of copyright backing us for publishing these podcasts for over 2.5 years. But more important, Jake and I keep realizing, and especially with the last 3, Alex Turbin joining us and him being on his own, it's hard to do something not only by yourself, but then making it, but then there's the distribution and the promoting of it. So we're really hoping that it's going to connect us and also concrete form relationships with other creators out there.
Form concrete.
If you haven't watched any of the last 3 episodes where we had our first guest on the Making of Turbo Pit Fighter podcast, Alex Turbin, you're missing a huge what Jake is putting out right now, because Jake and I are still flowing from the amazing conversation that we had with Alex, and we're going to get Alex back on to do some updating. I have titled preemptively this episode is us talking about being an anthology and the benefits that come with being an anthology. Instead of trying to focus in on a 32-page comic book, 7 of them to put into a graphic novel, which seems to be the dominant appeal or sense of rationalizing how you're going to make a comic book. We're flipping the script. I'm doing a Crown the Barbarian, on my own project, but now Jake and I are starting to infiltrate that into the Turbo process. And that was instigated by me, I have to say proudly, in getting the amount. Jake is a very prolific writer, first and foremost. I mean, he's an amazing artist, but for as long as I've ever known Jake and have ever asked him to edit or suggest, it is plentiful. So please make an earmark that by the end of the month, there's going to be these 3 scripts out there, 6-pagers for. We already have 1 out, done. Jake's talking about the second one. We'll have a 3rd one. But it's really, I think, going to ignite a lot. And also, I just want clarity. Our Substack is called doommags.substack.com. So
Yeah. So and Kurt and what Kurt was saying before about the legalese, we want to design this to, invite somebody in and to be part, and anything's possible when 2 people sit down and draw up and some kind of agreement. And there's an expression, take one to give one. I'm very willing, if there's a collaborator and we do get into a good collaborative workflow to partner up on different aspects of continuing rights, ownership. It's all real fun and games. It's all just funny money when you're all just in the development stage, and it is until something actually clicks that there's ever any legal disputes. I wouldn't worry about stuff like that until such time. I mean, it like right now, who knows what the contractual agreement is between Fantagraphics and Emil Ferris, right? Those are kind of questions that only arise when there's actually some serious money to be made, and those are the kind of problems that you wish you had, right? Like, I wish I had the problem between Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, like, oh, I wrote half of that song. No, I did. No, I did. Wouldn't you wish for those kind of problems?
they call them
So
champagne problems.
right. So right now the design is to find people who are indie comic creators that are looking for writing, and they want to be part of this collective that we're creating. And the collective, we'll come out with some more information later about the collective, where you could just have your own characters and your own properties too. That's also a possibility. But we're planning a Turbo anthology where everything is going to be in the Turbo world. And it was really exciting to talk to Alex about his thoughts on a potential character that he might want to create to be part of this timeline. And he was asking a lot of really insightful questions about what happens at this point in the timeline, what happens at that point in the timeline,
when does it start?
Right. When does it start? And if you the answer to that question was, it's already started. Oh, and with that, Kurt, that's a good segue for this next thing. Now, that one of our bullet points, this is where I should see, visuals are very important. Hold on one second. Hold on. Okay. So visuals are very important. So, I keep bringing us back to these bullet points, right?
Yep.
I mean, this was hard for me to settle in on these bullet points, and I feel like the arrival of the giantesses is not getting any kind of attention right now, but the other ones are all getting attention. And the latest thinking that I've been doing is about the sentience, the slow birth of longevity. So I found an article in a magazine, and I'm kind of embarrassed to tell you that it was AARP magazine, but not that embarrassed. And it comes in the mail. What am I supposed to do? So really, really intense stuff that's going on. You see this cover story article, and it's about the future of aging.
Yeah.
So we are on the verge, if you read this, of being able to extend life. Um, it says we may be just a few years away, maybe just a few months away from medical breakthroughs that will allow people to live much longer. One of the big breakthroughs is that they apparently just came up with a simple blood test for Alzheimer's, which is
Yeah.
a really big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, we have not had any kind of test for that before.
Yep.
And and if they can tell that you've got it, it's much more treatable on the early stages. And so that's
Yep.
one way that they could extend people's lives. And the other thing is that all these drugs are in testing now that can target and eliminate zombie cells, which are in our body. As we get older, we have cells that that are not able to divide and recreate of themselves. They just kind of like hang out. They're still functional and they're still working, but they're not, they're not like help. They're not pitching in like
Productive.
right, right. So they have drugs that are targeting these, and boy, man, if you invest in the stock market, I would invest in these drugs, um, because they're anti-aging drugs, and who's not going to want that, you know? And the other big breakthrough is that, which was in the last year or two, are these like award-winning people in Scandinavia that have come up with something called biomarkers. And biomarkers, what they're envisioning that they're going to be able to do is they're going to be able to um, take tests from cells from all over your body, and they're going to look at the biomarkers. I don't even know if they need to be invasive. This might just be like, you know, taking blood, or maybe I forget. I don't didn't read into what the biomarkers are, but the biomarkers, what they do is they give you a rating on the age of your organs, and that is in comparison to your real age. And they say if you are 60 years old, but your lungs are the lungs of a 65-year-old, then they can give you preventative drugs, or they can keep an eye on it. They can give you like, frequent, x-rays, whatever, to, just keep an eye on that. And they can, they say once they get a handle on all this, they'll definitely be able to prolong life. And so, why am I bringing all this up? Um, the rise of the sentience. By the time Turbo, is around, or even before Turbo is around, let's say 100 or 200 years from now, that's the range that we're talking about, the 2100s and the 2200s. We're going to have something called the sentience, and I have some sketches that I've shown in the past about this, but it's going to be people that are not only living longer, but they're also, cyborgish, or, they're a lot of their parts are just artificial. And we can talk about that nowadays too. Like they say, like so many people now have hip replacements, teeth replacements, uh,
Pacemakers.
pacemaker. I was just about to say pacemakers, but they're gonna have stuff for the lung. They're gonna have stuff for the brain. They're gonna have all this kind of stuff in the future, obviously. And what they don't say is how are we gonna afford all this. I mean, because in my mind, we're really talking about rich versus poor. The rich people are going to live a lot longer, and that's just life. That's capitalism. That's, or even Scandinavian countries, like, they're where they have, like, equality and socialism and all that. They're going to have to limit it based on how much there is to go around, right? So only some people are going to get it, some people aren't. And how are they going to do that? Is it going to be a lottery? Or does corruption come in where you have to be connected? I don't know, we'll see. But um yeah, so in the article, some really interesting data. They say that the number of people that are over 100 years old is expected to quadruple in the next 20 years. and right now you have about 100,000 people that are over the age of 100 in the U.S., and that's expected to quadruple to like 400,000 plus. And the number of people that live longer is also going to increase, they say. But a product of this is also like economics, and basically the point of the article is what you can do to live longer yourself and become a super ager, as they call it, is everything you expect: diet, exercise. They give this whole routine of a typical day for a super ager, and it's like, yeah, they freaking exercise an hour a day.
Do you know what they say the number one thing for longevity is based on?
What did they say?
They say socializing, human
Oh
interaction.
yeah, that's on the list. Yep. Yeah.
When you engage other people in a, let's say, environmentally engagement, pheromones are exchanged. In other words, people who have stronger immune systems can give you stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's a whole. That's what goes back to the Scandinavian biome sphere kind of stuff and everything. So,
Yeah.
it's
Social
it's so
isolation leads to higher Alzheimer's and dementia.
yeah, exactly. Isolation and those and these are sort of like does now, which is pretty cool. Like things come into play where 10 years ago people were like, whatever, that's a bunch of crap, but now it's starting to become more populated in the media, let's say, just social media as well as mainstream media. But the reason Jake and I get into all of this kind of like yammering about technology is because our world is based primarily on this world right now, and turning it into a post-apocalyptic sci-fi thriller. But I just want to remind everybody, Turbo Pit Fighter was born 1999, and it was still strongly connected with, and still is, but our joint passion for Road Warrior. Mad Max, Thunderdome came out what, 97, I think
I
it
never
was.
saw it.
So
Yeah, I never saw that.
what? You keep saying this. I
Well,
can't
I
believe you
just
never.
saw it.
I love it.
I just saw it this past year for the first time.
We don't need another
Yeah.
hero.
No,
We
because
don't need it.
I do this a lot. I don't want to. It's like if you just paid for an
Spoil
yeah,
your.
if you just paid for an expensive meal, like a French restaurant, and you just paid like $150, for filet mignon and everything. You're not going to pop a Tic Tac in your mouth, right? Or a lifesaver, right? You're going to savor it. So I never wanted to see Thunderdome because I never wanted to screw up my love for Road Warrior, but I eventually saw it. Um, anyway, there's lots of other post-apocalyptic stories, including movies, including books, including comics, and this has been in development for a while, and now it is a real coping mechanism for me, because I talk to, I'm a teacher, and I talk to other teachers, and when there's no students around, some of these teachers are really despairing about what's going on. In New York City we have this corruption, and a lot of people are really taking it hard, and I just convert this all into my sci-fi stories, and I say, well, if this is going on in 2020s, what's going to be going on in the 2100s? And some people say that the American experiment is not going to last that long, and
Well, it's going
so
to change, just like anything. It has to change.
it's
That's
going to
that's what
change.
the experience
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
I mean,
and
we're not
and
we're not going to stay focused on the 1950s nuclear family and the bountiness of the middle class. And blah, 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 blah. We're changing, and the thing is, technology is changing us. I mean, with the advent of of AI being released into the public sphere, one of the things I, I get real touchy about is, AI should be really embraced as a tool. That's it. A tool to extend your thinking process, your deductive reasoning, your critical thinking, these types of things, because really it's out there for anybody to use. Anybody. And you could be the next person that comes up with something that cures a problem, B problem, C problem, D problem, E problem. These are all where we're heading to. My thing, though, is
Yeah.
when we reach utopian threshold, living longer, happier, universal base income, all these things everybody wants, then what? You know what I mean? We're still human animals. We're still a species. We're still evolving. We don't have a lot of things hammered out. And yes, I have resorted to going back and watching all of my I don't know if it has anything to do with the election or my own sense of coping with anxiety and in the uncertainty of, of living nowadays. But I always go back to watching documentaries on Neanderthals, the Ice Age, and cavemen in general and stuff. And it always gives me satisfaction because, especially those who were living, the Neanderthals and Homo sapien as they are evolving and coming into the European corridor, if you will. Perseverance, man. Like,
Like,
we as a species at one point, they believe was only 1,800 of us living down at the South African horn of Africa. You know what I mean? And then we started doing some radical things and expanding. Going up north and going over to what is now referred to as India and China and stuff like that. So
yeah.
we have that in us. We have that in us. It's undeniable. Thank you, everybody, for having it. But then at the same time, we're so focused on having and have not and wanting and these types of things that
Well,
cause
what you talk about,
anxiety.
yeah, what you talk about is human nature.
Yeah.
If there's some food, and there's not enough people, there's gonna be a fight, and
Yeah.
that's also survival. It's not just like, so I think all of these thousands of years of civilizing, society, and enlightenment and illumination and everything
Yeah. Yeah.
has improved it, because we can now care for more people at once,
Mm-hmm.
than we might have in the past. But human nature is still human nature. And so
Yeah.
what we're seeing now is, I mean, the Turbo story is based on the rise of the trillionaire family, and their ability to take over so much of society, and then the resistance thereof, which is a commentary on where we're at in a lot of ways, but it's also caricaturing it in a lot of ways. And I don't know if you can see what I'm drawing right now, but I'm just kind of sketching. I'm just right now I'm translating my thumbnails to my first draft sketches here. But the the fact of human nature still is here. Like, when you say, like, AI is just a tool, and a responsible person just uses it as, maybe like the first step in the creative process, or maybe when you get stuck, and to get unstuck. But the mail is also a tool that we've had for a long time, and I mean, it's rife with abuse, right? How much junk mail have we been getting our entire lives for decades? And so you're going to see, scammers that are going to use
Oh
AI
yeah.
for
Oh
everything, and we
yeah.
already saw it. We see deep fakes. I mean, I was arguing with somebody, and I was like, dude, you put a AI deep fake of Kamala Harris online, and I said, and it's not even a good one. And they're like, no, this is real. And I'm like, dude, here is an AP debunk of it in May of 2023. This is not real. you're just playing, right? And it's like dot dot dot, and then you're like, no, some of these people are, we're all tied up. We have our emotions, we have our biases, and when there's something that we want to be true, our minds make it so. Art imitates life, and then life imitates art. So all of this is going on right now, and there's going to be, for every great technology that's invented, there's going to be abuse and fraud, and because we still haven't got rid of human nature. And you could even see if it's like two mothers fighting over a scrap of food because all their kids are starving. You could see that. But when it's like, the king and the feudal system, and the king doesn't have enough treasure chests full of rubies and gold, so now he wants to like invade another neighboring society and kill all the women and kill all the men and rape all the women. I was going to say they that's what we're seeing a version of now. We're seeing the multi-billionaires in real life now. And I could name names. You got the Koch brothers and the Waltons, and Elon Musk is in there. Like, when is enough enough? Bill Gates is in there. When is enough enough for these guys, right? Like, if you have $10 billion, you can never spend that. More than you can ever spend. Jeff Bezos does not need to work anymore, but he should spend a life of just giving out money to worthy charities. But what is he doing? He's still trying to destroy the competition and take over more and more of these processes.
I thought he was
And
trying to go to the moon.
yes, they're trying to go to the moon because, yeah, who's going to be the
I
first
mean,
person?
I get you. I want to kind of slow you down because we are rounding. We have rounded the 45-minute mark. We love keeping these episodes bite size, and being live now. Really creates a sense of excitement. I want to thank everybody over in YouTube land. We've had many people come by and stop. A couple of asked questions. Means a lot to us. I'm sure you've migrated, some of you from YouTube, if that's the case. So thank you very much. But the whole thing I just want to add to your rant there is, what we get to see behind the curtain is very, very, very slim. And I think that's what really causes a majority of people's anxiety. And in other words, it's like pretty much very few of us have ever been on, let's say, the other side of extreme wealth. I have had the opportunity to work in some very exclusive country clubs,
Yeah.
not only up here, but also down in Baltimore when I was in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, smoking cigars and brandy, and bald white men, and listening to them talk about things in such a way that really kind of also helped feed my want and desire to continue making fantasy material, comic books and paintings and stuff, because it seems so surreal, and movie like. But there's that, once again, it is a part of us as a species, and as you said, when we don't understand things, we immediately start getting concerned and worried, and then we start pointing fingers to blame and stuff and everything. But I just have to put my own PSA in there. If you're an able-bodied human being, no matter where you are in the age, gender, or whatever it is, you have the ability to do something. You have it. So get up off your ass and go and do something. Now, that's something,
Like
to
Emil
be
Ferris
very
said.
clear, should obviously have a sense of a heartfeltness. In other words, when I get really, really upset about what's going on in the world, I go to my local Wawa, which is it's a convenience store and stuff. I, hold doors open for people. And then if I have somebody behind me who's also getting a cup of coffee, I buy their cup of coffee. So, I'm not saying I do this every week or even every month. I just do it when I feel very beyond upset, very, very, very anxious. And right now, we know that a lot of people are very, very anxious, very, very upset, and very, very concerned for the future.
On both
Slow
sides,
everything
yeah.
down. Slow everything down. Back up on your caffeine intake. Maybe quit smoking. All that kind of stuff. But look at each of us as just human beings, just straight up human beings. This might sound a little corny and everything, but it's just basic stuff. It's just basics. So,
Well, if you take your life advice from Turbo Pit Fighter podcast, then maybe seek some more professional help. But yeah,
sure,
this
sure.
is we're talking about more and more how we're ripping from the headlines to make our story, and we have issue two plotted out and scripted. Basically, this is the script right here, but we're just doing issue three now. And as we go, we're going to be incorporating a lot more of these details, and a lot more of the and then the whole backstory, the whole prequel story is just being built too. How did we get from the 2020s to the 2220s? So we're observers of all this, and if anybody has some comments, um, it is very scary to think about what's going to happen in the future with so much technology available to basically
Yeah.
anyone, and how that could change societies. And I guess I'll just wrap up. I'll say we're putting 2222 as the date of the fall of the U.S. government at the hands of the trillionaire D. Huberton family. There's going to be a lot going on in the world. The world's not going to be over yet, but then there is going to be this mega apocalypse where the company is going to thin out the population considerably, going at the big cities, and then in the suburbs and the rural areas, they're going to be kind of just left alone, but only because of they haven't gotten around to it yet. They're still going to be surviving. But where Turbo lives, when she's a child, is going to be geographically thinned by hand, which means they go door to door, and that's obviously the first page of Turbo number one. They're not just killing everybody wholesale. They're looking for people that are on board with the company and on board with the life plan. And if they're not, then they're getting wiped out. But that's messy when you're doing it hand to hand. As opposed to drones that you could just send a drone and just do it. So um, we're gonna have a lot of these aspects, a lot of these questions and everything, and we're here coping. Kurt and I are here coping. We're making a graphic novel, comic by comic, page by page, and we invite you to come aboard if you have any questions, comments, concerns. Contact us. If not, stay tuned for next week's episode where we do more of this, and I'm going to be doing my second run through of this page. I think I'm going to do an overlay and fix these pages up, because I don't like so many small characters. I wanted something to like pop out more. And this is page, what am I on, page 22 already of issue number 2. We're moving through our story, and this is going to be a pretty poignant scene where a nun is going to blow up an orphanage, and sacrifice it so that she can take out all these RM soldiers, and she can prevent, all of their building and all of their equipment and everything from going into the wrong hands. And, basically she's also taking out an entire regiment at the same time. But, it's about sacrifices. It's going to be about sacrifices. And Turbo, as I'm drawing right here, is going to be escaping into her next assignment, which is going to be delivering the prototype to Elevena in prison, and things are going to heat up when we get there. So,
It-
go ahead, Kurt.
yeah, I was just going to add to one thing I said earlier, and there is, I believe wholeheartedly at the core of art making, the truth lies in healing oneself. In other words, there are so many things that you are able to process when you just sit down with a piece of paper or a spiral notebook lined with the blue lines, a ballpoint pen that has the ability to give you 4 colors, and you start putting things down. Do not think of it as a product. Do not go into making your own creativity as making a product. Make it from you, your heart, your thoughts, and your anxieties. And you will, over time, come up with something, whether it's shareable, profitable. That's all way down the line. One of the things I came privy to was dream journaling, and I still do it today. And it's
Yeah.
a very cornerstone of my practice. And all it is keep paper and a pencil or pen next to you. And when you're waking up from a dream or waking up, and you don't get up too quickly, just go, oh, wow, that was really weird. Why was my grandmother on a motorcycle? When you have that, write it down and then keep writing. Keep writing.
Right.
That don't stop, people. Stop trying to make the next Batman, Superman, Star Wars. Stop. Just be with yourself, expressing what it is going on, you as the particular filter of what is happening around us in this illusion. But with that being said, man, what a charge we're having there. And yeah, the other thing too, I just want to add about Turbo Pit Fighter is we're entering November. We do not have any more interviews scheduled at this point. I am building a list for 2025, giving Jake and I the ability to get into doing some
Flip through.
some good old fashioned comics that influence. And I've been in contact with Jan Strad, and Jake and I are going to try something out right after this episode. Not live, it will be recorded and heavily edited to try to figure out this. We're going to do our regular episode where we talk about comic books centric to what Jan is drawn. But we're going to have a whole bunch of questions, and then I'm going to use ChatGPT to abstract those questions, and I'm going to send them to Jan, and he's going to answer them. So, and then we're going to put these answers of the questions into our Doom Mags Substack.com. So with that being said, Jake, that's all I got for these good people. Let's let them get back to reading comics, making them if they choose.
That's right. Check out our other channels. We have Comics That Influence, and we have Indie Creator Exchange. So we're out there. We got a lot of cool episodes and content for you to see. And we're here every Sunday. See you next Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Bye, everybody. Peace
See
and
you
love.
next Sunday, Jake. See you next Sunday.
See you.
Yeah, man, we got